Hi, you're listening to the Highly Desirable Woman podcast with Adrienne Everheart, Episode 1, Pretty Woman.
Put away your Kleenex, ladies, and clean up your mascara. It's time for the Highly Desirable Woman's podcast with your host and relationship coach extraordinaire, Adrienne Everheart, with dating and relationship advice made so simple, you'll wonder why you haven't tried these techniques sooner.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on the Highly Desirable Woman podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Pretty Woman, which is a movie that came out in 1990, starring Julia Roberts, Richard Gere, and also a couple of special appearances from Jason Alexander. This movie was made by Touchstone Pictures and directed by Gary Marshall. So the reason that I picked this movie was because when I watched it, I saw so many moments where a woman and a man were connecting through some really unique situations, and they were able to develop a deep romantic connection. Some of those things I am all for, totally in love with. The movie got it right. A lot of them are some great learning opportunities. So as always, I have Rogue Pence with me. Hi, Rogue.
Hello.
So just starting at the top, what do you think of this movie? Had you seen this movie before we decided to do a podcast about it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This was one of my favorite movies, actually. And so, yeah, I was excited when you wanted to discuss this movie.
Yeah,
so
it's a great movie.
To watch it again because I love it so much.
So when you watch this movie, are you like me and you cry at about 3 or 4 different times?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of great moments that are really heart-touching, and some people just really love this movie. I had it on my Facebook page, on my at Coach Everheart page, and I had made a photograph of the jewelry that's in this movie, and I got so many comments. I knew we were on something good. So here we are. We're going to talk about Pretty Woman today. And let's get started. So the movie opens up with a character a lot of you may know from Seinfeld. His name is Jason Alexander. He's George on Seinfeld. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because I watch a lot of Seinfeld, and there is so much you can learn about relationships in Seinfeld. I mean, it's amazing. From the men's character to Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, it's just so much. So I just wanted to put a little plug in there. Stay tuned. We'll probably have some Seinfeld episodes. But the movie opens up where they're at a party, and Richard Gere is upstairs. His character name is Edward. And he's upstairs having what seems to be an uncomfortable conversation. So I'm going to play a little soundbite from that.
Secretary to make the arrangements. Didn't she call you?
Yes, she did. I speak to your secretary more than I speak to you.
I see.
I have my own life too, you know, Edward.
This is a very important week for me. I need you here.
But you never give me any notice. You just think I'm at your beck and call.
I do not believe that you are at my beck and call.
Well, that's the way you always make me feel. Maybe I should just move out.
If that's what you want, yes.
All right, when you get back to New York, we'll discuss.
Now is as good a time as any.
That's fine with me, Edward. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Jessica.
All right. What do you think about that?
So I didn't notice it, I guess, when I watched it the first time or just recently watched it. But I just realized how she criticized him and said, that's how you always make me feel. So, that's not what we would tell our,
even when you're giving me an orgasm, I always feel this way.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So that was interesting. I didn't remember that part, but yeah, that was, and then later on you realize that he obviously has this issue with all of the girls that he dates, right?
That's right. Because now Jessica is saying to him, she's saying, I talk to your secretary more than I talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And, suddenly I'm just supposed to go to California and be with you. And this is something my clients tell me all the time. Not that someone calls them up and says, hey, come to California.
Yeah.
but guys call them at the last minute and ask them out for a date, or they
Yep.
pop into town and they just expect you to drop everything. So
Uh-huh.
I would have to say, brava, Jessica, you are walking away from a guy
Yes.
who's not treating you right. What do you think?
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm like, she was, spot on when she was saying that to him. It's like, you can't just be there whenever he, wants you to be there. It's not like, that's not the kind of man I would want to be with either.
No. And she's putting a boundary in place, albeit a little too late. She's saying, I'm walking out the door. But good call on the you always. So what's a better way to say that instead of you always? What would we feminine energy experts say is the thing to do?
I mean, in that situation, I guess I might say, I feel disregarded, or I feel unimportant.
Yeah, I'm feeling so disappointed. I won't be able to make it. This is so last minute. And I've been really feeling like I'm coming last. How do you feel? You can always ask the man, how do you feel? And as you said, we find out that Edward, Richard Gere's character, has a history of connecting with people in kind of difficult ways. He's having some troublesome relationships because he then just goes downstairs. He runs into a woman at a party. This is we're pretty sure this is a woman that he once loved, and now she's married. And he congratulates her on being married, and she says, well, I couldn't wait around for you.
I know. I was like, yes. Oh my gosh. Something else that I didn't even pick up on until watching it through a second time was the fact that he needed her to be there with him because he had a very important week ahead of him. And I was like, because I think a lot of women don't realize how much value they bring to a man's life and how much they actually need us. And they need that feminine energy on a regular basis. And so he knew he was going to have this important week. And he said, Jessica, I need you there. And I just thought that was like brilliant. You know what I mean? For them to actually show that like he needed her there, like for the support or for whatever reason. But, he could have went and done that week without her, but he needed a woman by his side.
Totally. I love that too. At first I was like, is that really masculine energy? Is that really what guys do? They really need us. Well, it doesn't matter. This guy needed her. And this is how Gary Marshall wrote and directed the film. This guy needed her. But I do believe in business. A lot of men feel that when they are accompanied by a woman, it balances the energy of the table.
Exactly. That's what I mean when I said that. That's exactly what I was meaning. Yep.
Because I've definitely been in business situations with my husband where, I'm a girl and everyone's kind of behaving. I get the feeling because there's a woman at the table. So it kind of balances the energy. So good call on that. That's a good one, that we really are important. We're this neutralizing, soft, feminine energy that really balances out a lot of the masculine energy. And we definitely see that happen later on in the movie. Now, the next scene, they cut to Julia Roberts, or her character is Vivian. And that is a body double, by the way. If any of you end up watching that movie, there's someone who's, getting dressed in some sexy clothes. She's getting ready for work. And her work is, she is a prostitute. She's a hooker or a call girl or whatever you want to call it. And she is getting ready for work. She runs downstairs to a bar. She's having to avoid her landlord. They owe rent money. It's dire times. Apparently, they're not making the best living at being prostitutes. They're kind of piecing it together. But there's an important moment I really fell in love with where she's talking to her roommate, Kit DeLuca. And she says to her, she goes, don't you want to get out of here? And I loved that statement because I'm a big believer that you really need to speak your desires into creation. You need to write them down. You need to speak them. Did you pick up on that really bold statement of her saying that?
I actually didn't. No, that was one part that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah, it's almost like she manifested. She called this, and I know it's a movie, everybody, but she manifested it into creation that I'm ready for something new. And this is something I get all my clients to say, universe, I'm ready. I'm ready right now. I'm ready to be a wife.
Yes.
I'm ready to be married. And even if you're in a relationship, you're having a difficult time with your spouse, your boyfriend, your partner, your husband, you can just say, we're getting better every day. We're getting stronger every day. And soon this episode's going to pass. Soon this difficult time in our life will be over.
Yeah.
How do you feel about just really speaking things into creation?
Oh my gosh, for sure. I totally believe in that. What you think about, you bring about. And whatever you speak into fruition, like it's going to like happen. And so I didn't pick up on that, but I totally believe that. And now that you say that, it's like, that's probably why. I also like the fact that she actually had a bigger plan for herself. Just by even saying that tells you that she wanted more. Whereas Kit didn't really see herself having more in life. And you see that later on in the movie as well. But but Julia Roberts, she definitely was showing that just by saying that.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Now the next scene, Richard Gere, his character is Edward. Sorry if I'm just going to call them their names and their character names the whole time. But he is lost, and he is somewhere on Hollywood Boulevard. And he's in Vivian, Julia Roberts' part of the town, or her corner, I should say. Her corner, her block corner. And he somehow found his way to Hollywood Boulevard. Now, there was a really interesting scene, just as he's entering with the car, where Kip, her roommate, asked her, maybe we should get a pimp. Maybe we should get a pimp. And Vivian says, no, then men will run our lives and they'll take our money. And
yes, I caught that part.
Yeah, and again, it comes up in the scene, another scene where she says, no, this is who I want, when I want, for as much as I want. I make my rules. So it's definitely like she's a free spirit, which is definitely a feminine quality, to be free. I'm a goddess on a pedestal. Even if she is a prostitute, it's on her terms.
Yes, and she doesn't want to be controlled. Like, that's, I think, a big thing that I come across as well. And even with my own experience with my marriage and stuff, there was a point where it was like, I don't want to feel like I'm trapped, like I'm controlled by a man. Like, we definitely want to have that freedom and that free spirit about us to be able to like choose.
I love it. Yeah. Richard Gere, Edward, then pulls over. She thinks that he's asking for a date. Instead, he needs directions. I love this scene. She asks him for $5 for directions. He refuses. She then says, oh, price just went up to 10. And she turns her back on him. And ladies, one of the most powerful things you can do, don't use it for manipulative reasons. Don't use it for evil. Use it for good. But turning your back on a guy, here's my boundary. I'm turning back around.
Yep. I love that.
Now, the interesting thing is that, she knows this car. She's a little bit of a tomboy, wouldn't you say?
Uh-huh. Yep.
She knows this Lotus, and she knows that it's a standard H and all of these things. And Edward even says to her, how do you know about this stuff? And she says, oh, boys back home I grew up with. Apparently she was in some place called Milledgeville, Georgia. Have you heard of this place?
I
don't know if it's real or not. But she definitely is really switching a lot through masculine and feminine, especially when she starts driving the car.
Yes.
So she's definitely switching around from masculine to feminine energy. And soon the couple pull up in front of the very posh Regent Beverly Wilshire's Hotel. And he invites her inside, which I didn't really see that coming, even though I knew that's how it happened in the movie.
Uh-huh.
But do you remember why he invited her inside to the hotel?
I don't know. Did he actually even say why he invited her in?
Well, no, he didn't. And good call on that. He actually saw her waiting for the bus.
Yeah.
And he felt, I think, a little sorry for her. He wanted to protect her. She was out there just fidgeting, waiting for the bus. And he asked her inside, which was very sweet. He put his coat on her because he wanted her to kind of fit in. And it didn't really help anything because she walks right into the hotel as he's getting his messages. And she leans up against the wall. It's such a masculine posture that she takes here.
Yeah.
She's just so in her boy energy. Now the couple end up upstairs, and we quickly find out that Edward is afraid of heights, and he opens up to her about that. He also tells her, he begins to open up other things and reveal things about himself, such as, in addition to he's afraid of heights, that he's a planner. And Julia Roberts opens up and says, "Whoa, I fly by the seat of my pants." Now, at that moment, she says, "Okay, well, let's get down to business." And she offers him all this assortment of condoms. And he tells her he wants to talk instead of whatever she has on her mind. Now, what do you think about that, Rogue?
I actually love that because I feel like a lot of women think that men are just in for the sex, I guess. And I think that he genuinely didn't want it to be like that. I mean, I don't think he was going to be as turned on by it if he was just doing the act and being done with it. I think he kind of wanted, first of all, he wanted her to want to have sex with him, I think. And so later on, she talks about him dropping the seduction act or whatever. But, yeah. But I think I think a man really enjoys it more if a woman desires to be with him, and it's not like a business transaction.
Yeah, it's not masculine. It's not linear. It's not
exactly.
See, so I picked up on that too, and a lot of women maybe would laugh at that scene and say, "Oh my God, if you put a hot woman in front of a guy and start showing him condom, no probs." But this is a man, again, that is emotionally available. And he wanted to have that mental connection with her. And by mental connection, I don't mean let's discuss politics, but he just wanted to know more about what was going on inside of her. So we all know that the body will give him pleasure, that he will have that, but he's looking for that deeper connection. And this is what we talk about so often in our coaching. Men really do want that deeper connection. And she's being very vulnerable throughout this entire movie. And Edward opens up more and more. He reveals he has an ex-wife. He opens up about his ex-girlfriend, Jessica, who's now moving out of his apartment from New York. There's that great scene, like you said, where she said, "Okay, so drop the seduction act, And they make this agreement, for $300 for her to spend the night. And so she's up to $400 now, I think. $100 in the car and for the first hour. Now she's got $300. But she's just so vulnerable. And there's this great scene where he finds her in the bathroom. And I'm going to play a little sound bit from that.
I said I'd be out in just a minute.
What do you have in your hand? What are you hiding?
Nothing.
All right, look, I do not want any drugs here. I don't want any of this. Get your things and your money and please leave.
I don't do drugs, all right? I stopped doing drugs when I was 14.
What is this? This is dental floss.
Yeah, so I had all those strawberry seeds. And you should neglect your gums.
I love it. Would you say that that's vulnerability?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Flossing, I'm not afraid. Well, she was a little afraid. She was hiding that she was flossing from him. And she wanted to maybe appear perfect. I don't know. What do you think was going on in her mind?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why she thought she had, maybe she thought it would be embarrassing, that she even had stuff in her teeth, didn't want to tell him and thought, let me just do this real fast so he doesn't see the seeds in my teeth. So definitely, a vulnerable moment for her to try to do that and then to have him catch her. And she was so kind of innocent, I guess, like, because he caught her and yeah.
Yeah. So what are we saying here? You notice how he's opening up more. She's opening up more. She's being vulnerable. And they're both just opening up more. And this is that beautiful dance of really falling in love is, yeah, I've got strawberry seeds in my teeth. And right after that scene, Edward tells her, he says, very few people surprise me.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting too, or cool how he said that.
Yeah, she's surprising him with her vulnerability, no less. So moving on to a scene that Rogue really liked, Julia Roberts is, well, why don't you go ahead and set that up for us?
Well, I actually feel like little things kind of led up to even that part. Like, I feel like he was so attracted to almost like her innocence in a sense. Like even when they walked into the hotel, and she was just so mesmerized by this experience that she was having. And then when he had ordered the champagne and the strawberries and she just like gulps down the champagne, he just looks at her like, it was like he was discovering like something he had never really even seen before, someone act this way, but he was so intrigued by it. So when it gets to that scene where she's laying on her stomach, she has her feet just kind of kicked up and she's watching I Love Lucy, which I remember watching that as a kid. I love that show. So funny. And she's just laughing hysterically. I mean, like a very just from her gut, you know, and she didn't even care that he was in the room. You know, he was busy on his phone or doing whatever, his work. And she just was like carefree. That's what it is she just let herself go and be who she was in that moment and did not care about what he thought or anything. She just was in the moment watching that show, laughing. And then you could just see him like looking at her.
Yeah.
And it was like he saw her for like who she really was. And he loved it. Like he was so drawn to that. And then she looks over and sees that he sees her like that. And like, again, another vulnerable moment. And then I feel like at that moment, she saw and felt that connection. And then she wanted to do what she did next.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. He was watching her and she was being light and feminine and soft and giggling. And these are really all feminine qualities, you know, soft, feminine, lighthearted, not serious, not rigid. And she was just totally in her moment. She was this goddess on a pedestal, watching the show, having her little picnic. And you're right. The next thing that happens is, lo and behold, they exchange some steamy glances, like you said. And then what happens, Rogue?
Well, isn't that well, we know what happens, but
Tell us.
Right before the blowjob.
That's right. She blows him.
Right before that, though, didn't he that's when they discussed the no kissing too, wasn't it?
Exactly. So at that moment, though, she tells him, here's my one boundary. I don't kiss on the mouth.
Yeah.
But yes, he does go ahead and let her blow him. So apparently there was some sort of authentic connection and she was down for it and he was down for it. They were two consenting adults at that point. So
yeah.
All right. So moving on, the next morning they wake up and she reveals that she has this beautiful head of red hair. And she says, you know, red. And he says to her, oh, that's better. And this is the first time that he really orders for her. He orders her food and he tells her, I just took, you know, I ordered you everything because I didn't know what you liked. And how do you feel about that? The man ordering her food.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, I love it. I love that he just took charge like that. He wasn't like, oh, I don't know what she'll like. I'll wait for her to wake up and then tell me what she wants. He just took charge. So hot when a man does that.
Yes.
I don't know if you want me to give an example, but my husband has actually done that kind of thing to me where I'm just busy, doing things, and he's made supper and he's like, sit down and eat. And I'm like, but I have to do this one thing. I have to do it. He's like, sit down and eat.
Aww.
And I'm just like, oh, it makes me kind of melt because I'm just like, he's like, taking care of me, you know what I mean? And making sure that I'm taken care of by having me do that. So it's not that I'm not upset about it at all. It might take him a couple of times to be like, listen here, woman, sit your butt down. You're eating supper. But
I love it. I love
that.
it.
I love when a man takes charge like that.
It's so sweet. So sweet. Well, over breakfast, Vivian's character starts making small talk with Edward and asks him what he does for a living. She's doing so with a mouth full of croissant. That is neither feminine nor masculine. She's a goddess on a pedestal. If she wants to eat and talk with a mouth full of croissant, that is her business, right? She owns it.
Yes.
And that's the difference, is like you're just owning it. Now, he also said, she asked him, what does he do? He buys companies. And then she reveals that she dropped out of the 11th grade. But she wants to know what he does with his business. Like, she's genuinely curious.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her that he basically buys businesses and then sells them. And she says, oh, so it's kind of like stealing cars and then selling the parts. And he goes, well, yeah, except it's legal what I'm doing. And she goes on to do a lot of things that I really, at first when I saw this film, I thought they were definitely masculine energy because there was so much doing. But she really is just curious, and feminine energy is a curious energy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's that scene where she's fixing his tie. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. And she goes, here, let me do it for you. And a lot of guys maybe wouldn't like that. They wouldn't like a woman to step in and do something for them. What do you think about that, Rogue?
Yeah, I know. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I don't know, honestly. I'm not really sure. I guess it could maybe go either way depending on the guy. But what do you think?
Well, I think it's always best to ask.
Yes, that's
say,
what I was saying.
Oh, I feel so helpless. You
Yeah.
know, will you let me know if I can help you here?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next scene, I know it's one of your favorite scenes because she's in the bubble bath and she's singing Prince. She's singing a great Prince song. She's very feminine, very cute. We are then again talking to the attorney, Stuckey. He wants to offer Edward a date because he has a business meeting. And he tells him, I know a lot of nice girls. And Edward says, I already have one. And he's looking right at Vivian. So he then proceeds to say, you know, will you spend a week with me? And I want it strictly professional, no romantic hassles. It's going to be 6 days, nights, $3,000 they end up settling on. And he also gives her money for clothes. Now I'm going to play a soundbite coming up right after that. But wow, is this a dream come true? I'm in the bathtub. I'm making $3,000 and I get money for clothes. What do you think about this scene?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love the scene. Again, she's being carefree. She's not she's just being herself, singing. Like I absolutely love that. She's just like in her element, in her feminine energy. And again, he's so mesmerized and just drawn to that, you know? And I think in that moment, he's just like, I think he's just feeling so good about the energy that he wants more of it, more of her, you know, more of her.
Yes, more. All right, I'm going to play a sound bite here.
Okay.
I would have paid $4. I'll see you tonight.
Baby, I'm gonna treat you so nice, you're never gonna want to let me go.
3,000 for 6 days. And Vivian, I will let you go.
Ooh, I will let you go.
I know, I felt so bad in that because you saw like the look on her face. Mm-hmm. And I could just feel that, like, I don't know, I could just feel that in her in that moment. Like she was like kind of didn't expect that, I guess, or just that kind of let down kind of a feeling, you know?
And what did you think about, baby, I'm going to treat you so good, you're never going to want to let me go? What do you think about that statement?
Well, I think a lot of women take that approach of treating a man really well. I did that in my marriage for most of the years I've been married. And then I realized that men don't really want that. You know, they don't respect that. They'll accept it.
They'll take it.
they'll take it, take advantage of it, I guess, but it doesn't activate them to desire the woman. So
to claim you. Yeah.
Yes,
and so we call it giving to get, where you're believing like, I have to give you something. I have to give you some part of me so that you'll love me and want me. So yeah, well said. So just kind of skipping through the movie here a little bit. Vivian tries to go shopping. She meets up with some snobby ladies. The hotel manager helps her out. He actually introduces her to an amazing actress I love, Eleanor Donahue, who has this purebred character. She actually was on Andy Griffith, an older show. She played the pharmacist, Ellie Walker. She was on Father's Knows Best. Just wanted to give a shout out to her. But she helps Vivian's character shop and find some beautiful, beautiful clothes. And then Vivian finds her way back to the hotel, and I just love this scene that happens next.
Hello.
Never, ever pick up the phone.
Then why are you calling me?
Did you buy clothes today?
I got a dress. A cocktail one.
That's good.
I'll be in the hotel lobby 7:45 sharp.
What, you're not coming up to the door?
This isn't a date, it's business.
Where are you taking me anyway?
Taking you
To a restaurant called the Voltaire.
very elegant.
All right. I'll meet you in the lobby, but only 'cause you're paying me to.
Well, thank you very much. Get her back for me, please.
Mr. Stuckey wanted to see you.
Yes, tell him I'm in the middle of a very important phone call.
Hello?
I told you not to pick up the phone.
Then stop calling me. Sick.
Playful, very playful, wouldn't you say?
Yes, definitely.
Why do you think he's doing that?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. Like in that we're calling her back, you mean kind of like testing her to see like how she's going to respond to it?
Yeah. I've experienced this sort of playfulness from, my husband sometimes. And I think that playfulness is really what men love the most about having interactions with a woman. I mean, here's this man, he's in this intense business environment, but yet someone says, oh, someone wants to talk to you. He goes, tell them I'm in a very important phone call. And he's just playing this game with her and just having fun. And I think that's something that women need to remember, is that men really want to laugh with us. We're that opportunity to slow down, get away from work, no business, and just have a little fun.
Yeah. I actually thought you were going to talk about the part where he said, I'm not going to come up to the door.
Well, what do you think about that? That's great. Yeah.
Because I feel like, in that moment, because women experience that where a man doesn't put forth like the complete effort so I feel like he was still drawing the line a little bit in the sand. Like, this is still just a business transaction. It's not anything more than that. So, when a man gives a woman all of him or starts to show that he wants to claim her or whatever, he's going to put forth all of the effort. He would come to the door and get her and those kind of things. But he was like, nope, meet me in the lobby, kind of thing. And so she's like, fine, but only because you're paying me, So then she kind of drew the line too, like, all right, fine, I will, but only because you're paying me.
Yes, only because you're paying me. And this is a movie after all, and this just made it so that he could go find her in the hotel bar and looking around for her, and there she is, and she's so glammed up that he didn't recognize her. So that was probably a opportunity that the writers wrote in. But yeah, men don't always put in the effort, and sometimes you have to have a boundary and tell a guy, I feel more comfortable being picked up from my house, or I feel more comfortable doing this or that. And see if the guy takes notice, see if he takes notice. Now, they find their way to the restaurant. They're meeting some business associates of Edward's. And here again, I know this is one of Rogue's favorites. Here we go.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the ladies' room.
Upstairs to the right.
Excuse me.
Shall I order for you?
Yeah. Please do so. Thank you.
I'll do that.
Ooh.
Yes, again, a man taking charge. Gotta love it.
Yes, he orders for her. Please do so. She's being a lady. So she's getting a little more into her feminine energy as this movie progresses. She's getting further away from, I'm in control, I'm in my environment, and getting a little bit more in his world. And she's just becoming more and more vulnerable in that process. So the scene continues where she's trying to eat. I mean, this is just a hilarious dinner scene. She's trying to eat escargot, and the snail is flying out of the shell across the other side of the room. She doesn't know which fork. She only knows her salad fork. And we begin to learn more about Edward, that his father passed away, and he's opening up a little bit more. But she's just so delightfully vulnerable in this scene. This is why America, I believe, fell in love with Julia Roberts, the actress.
Yeah.
She's just so beautiful and feminine, and just, she can just be who she is in that moment and be vulnerable. It's so important. Now, back at the hotel, back at that penthouse suite on the top floor, there's a scene where Vivian is snuggling her feet into what must be Edward's bed slippers. And she starts talking to him about what happened over dinner, because there was just a big blowout, a lot of work stress. And so women in the real world, we have men who have a lot of work stress.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to discuss work with them. And it's really kind of the last thing a man really wants to do. He wants us to listen, but he doesn't really want so much advice. What do you think?
Yes, 100%, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to play a sound bite from the balcony. This is the longest sound bite. It's just a little bit over 2 minutes. But I think we learned so much about masculine and feminine energy in this sound bite.
Edward. Edward, you said you never come out here.
Well, I'm only halfway out.
Didn't say much in the car on the way home. You thinking about dinner? I was a maniac. I mean, the business was good, I think, you know. He's in trouble. You want his company. He doesn't want to let it go.
Thanks for the recap.
Problem is, I think you like Mr. Morse.
What I would like is for you to get down from there. You're making me very nervous. Please, come down.
It's making you nervous? What if I just lean back a little bit like this? Would you rescue me if I fell?
Vivian, I'm serious. Come. I'm not looking.
It's really high. Look, no hands, no hands. Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
The truth is, it really is totally irrelevant whether I like this man or not. I will not let myself become emotionally involved in business.
I know. Kit's always saying to me, don't get emotional when you turn tricks. That's why no kissing. It's too personal. It's like what you're saying. You stay numb. You don't get involved. When I'm with a guy, I'm like a robot. I just do it. I mean, except with you.
Of course not with me. You and I are such similar creatures, Vivian. We both screw people for money.
I'm sorry to hear about your dad. When did he die?
Last month.
Do you miss him?
I hadn't spoken to him in 14 and a half years. I wasn't there when he died.
Do you want to talk about this?
No.
I'll tell you what. Because I got an idea. Let's watch old movies all night. We'll just veg out in front of the TV.
Veg out?
Yeah. Be still like vegetables. Lay like broccoli.
I gotta tell you what. I'll be back. We'll do broccoli tomorrow.
All right. So I thought that was such an amazing scene, because so many things happen, from her kind of teasing him while she's on the balcony and saying, would you rescue me?
Yeah.
Did that trigger something for you?
I can't say that actually stood out for me per se, not that part, but yeah, I think it was. I liked the teasing part about it, that she was kind of teasing him.
Yeah, she was kind of teasing him and testing if his masculine energy would get activated or not. I think that's really what was happening here, because this is something that men like to do. They do want to, provide for us, take care of us, and keep us safe. It is an innate quality, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, to rescue the girl. Yeah, be the hero for sure.
Rescue the girl. Now, as most men do when they start to open up and they start to hit this emotional, threshold, or that vulnerability in the man starts to go higher and higher, they're really starting to connect with you. A lot of men then go to the cave. They back off. Mm-hmm. This is when you're like, oh my goodness, everything was going so great and I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So this is what men do. They get, kind of involved, and then they get scared or something they're processing. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, Edward heads downstairs. He goes and plays the piano. And this is a really, really sexy scene. She goes and finds him. And I love it. Even though she's pursuing him and she goes downstairs to find him playing the piano, she shows up and she says, I was feeling lonely upstairs. It's such a brilliant feeling statement, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's just so different than, say, if she would have gone downstairs and said, where have you been?
Yeah,
when are you
coming
to bed?
Doing? Yeah. What are you doing? Like, did I say something wrong?
Yeah, do you not like me anymore?
Yeah.
Don't you like me? But instead she just says, well, I was feeling lonely downstairs. And he then, his heart again is cracking open. He picks her up, puts her on the piano, goes to kiss her, but no, she leans back instead. Now, the next scene, he says, wake up, it's time to shop. And he finds out that the girls at the shops have been mean to her. Mm-hmm. They treated her mean.
Yes.
And what does he do, Rogue?
He goes with her to go shopping and made sure that they were not going to be mean to her. So he rescued the girl, basically. He was going to make sure that wasn't going to happen again. Like, he cared about her feelings and what happened to her the day before.
Yeah. He is now invested, and he's taking time away from work, clearly, to go make sure she's okay. Now, the movie progresses. There's some business dealings going wrong, and Edward is definitely, his heart is starting to open up to this business dealing that he's involved with. And Vivian has such a great time shopping. She even picked him out a tie from one of the sales associates. And so the next scene, I love this scene. He comes in late for work, and she has room service, and she's at the dinner table, totally naked, only wearing the tie. And I swear it's like something right out of a Cosmo magazine, where they're like, hey, need to spice up your marriage? Have your husband come home and you're just naked, wrapped in a plastic wrap or something. I don't know. I mean, does it seem very Cosmo to you?
Yeah, it really did. I thought it was a little off for me too. I was kind of like, huh. But yeah, for sure.
But again, it's the movies, the movies. But I mean, I wouldn't really recommend anybody do that. Would you?
No.
Yeah.
No, I would not.
What do you think it suggests to the man if you do something like that? If you go out of your way, cook him this meal. I don't think she cooked it, but you get what I'm saying. Cook him this meal, show up naked. I mean, maybe there are times where I'm definitely like, my husband's around and I'm going to be naked. Like, and I take my time. Time, right?
Yeah.
And he's always like, well,
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. I always find it interesting. My husband, I'm like, how do you always end up in the bedroom when I'm just out of the shower? Like every time.
Yeah.
It's my chance to see boobs for the day. So yeah,
that's hilarious.
He always has to be in here for that. But Yeah, like I would not suggest it either. I feel like she put a lot of energy and effort into preparing that for him, something that was pretty much unnecessary. I feel like she didn't need to do all of that. And then obviously by being naked like that, it's suggesting that she's expecting him to like have sex with her, or so it's almost like she worked to get that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there was like effort. I felt the same little bit of ickiness. The next scene, however, is amazing because they are in the bathtub together and Edward opens up even more. I'm going to play a little clip from that here.
Well, my mother was a music teacher and married my father, whose family was extremely wealthy. Then he divorced my mother to be with another woman, and he took his money with him. And then she died. I was very angry with him. It cost me $10,000 in therapy to say that sentence. I was very angry with him. I do it very well, don't I? I'll say it again. I was very angry with him. Hello, my name is Mr. Lewis. I'm very angry with my father.
I would have been angry at the $10,000.
My father was president of the third company I ever took over. I bought it. I sold it off piece by piece.
What did the shrink say?
I was cured.
Well, so you got even. That must have made you happy. Did I mention my leg is 44 inches from hip to toe? So basically, we're talking about 88 inches of therapy wrapped around you for the bargain price of $3,000. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. I just love how he's like, well, my mom did this and then my dad, and then I had to go to therapy. And this is when you know a guy is falling in love with you. This is what a guy will do. He'll start to talk about the dog he had when he was 5 and how he had to move. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. That's definitely like, I mean, women complain a lot about men that don't open up, you know, but I feel like when you're truly in your feminine energy and you're not prying them for things, they will just start to ooze that information out without you having to pry or even try to, you know, ask them questions and things. So that was definitely happening there. I found it interesting. I noticed in that part, and I think it was the balcony part that we talked about already, where when things got kind of serious, where he was talking about things, that she didn't pry or keep asking. It's like almost like she knew that it was getting to that point, and then she said things or did things to kind of like change the subject. What do you think about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like at first I thought when she was like, oh, here's how long my leg is. I'm like, this girl is changing the subject. But she was really just saying, you know, she was being that light feminine energy again, that light, playful feminine energy. Like, oh, I've got, 44 inches of therapy to wrap around you right now. But yeah, there was a little bit of changing the subject, but also just, she was kind of getting back to what's important to her. And I don't know about you, Rogue, but a lot of my clients come to me and say, oh, he keeps talking about his ex-wife, or he keeps talking about his divorce he's going through. And it's really boring me. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't want to hear about his ex. Mm-hmm. And I teach my clients to really just learn how to, and just kind of, I'm a little bored hearing about your ex, or I feel a little icky hearing about your ex, or I trust you're going to figure it out. And you really don't get invested in helping that man solve his problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she was not trying to fix it. She wasn't not even really changing the subject. It was more or less like, I think it was her way of almost like empathizing with him, but like, doing it in a, I'm being there for him, recognizing the situation, but kind of putting a joke on, like kind of joking around about it too, by saying wrapping my legs around you, the $3,000 dollars of therapy, whatever. Yeah. So I really thought it was good. I thought it was clever.
And it was a little tap on the shoulder of, remember, you're paying me, a little bit of like, hey, we're falling in love, maybe, but you're paying me. So the next scene, they go to a polo event. Some girls kind of tease her, call her the flavor of the month. She teases them right back and says, no, I'm just using this guy for sex. Gives them a little something to talk about, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
This is where Vivian meets Stucky, the attorney. Stucky sees Vivian and Edward laughing, and the wheels are just starting to turn in his head. You can see some suspicion. He then sees Vivian talk to this really handsome guy, which was David, one of the business associates that was at the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So she's talking to David, she's petting his horse, and Stucky and Edward both see this. Remember that, ladies, because that comes up later. And but mostly Stucky's just noticing differences in Edward, and he's getting kind of curious and suspicious and downright paranoid. And this is when Edward discusses that Vivian is a hooker that he found on Hollywood Boulevard. And in no time at all, Stucky rushes back over to Vivian and says, hey, you know, I know how he found you. You're a hooker. And he actually makes a pass at her. And then as Stucky walks away, Vivian you can tell, is feeling like the blood has just drained from her whole body. And I haven't been in that exact scenario, of course, but I have been in situations where I really thought something was going one way. You know, I really thought it was going one way. And then the guy tells me something different, or I learn something different. Like, oh, I'm not going on vacation with you, or, oh, you're not going to come with me to that party tonight, you know, and you just really have that moment where you realize, like, I am not important as this person.
Yeah. And I don't think, like, I think we found that out later, but I don't think he meant, like, he was trying to ease this business associate's minds that, like, she's not a spy. She's not coming here to try to sabotage our business transaction. So I feel like he was trying to do that, but at the same time, like, he wasn't really thinking, you know, when he said that about her. And yeah, like, you could just tell she was, like, devastated, because she definitely felt that there was more to it at that point. And for him to just outrightly tell someone that just made her feel probably sick to her stomach.
So, important announcement, ladies. Rogue just said it better than anybody's ever said it. She said, I don't think he was thinking at that moment.
Yeah.
And this is what men do. So often men do what men do best, which is behave like men, and they don't think.
Yeah.
They say things, and then later they come to you with an apology. And that's exactly what happened here. They basically had a little bit of a falling out. They had some words where she lets him know, I don't appreciate you, telling someone that I'm a hooker. And they have a little fight over it. She packs her stuff up. She actually walked out on him, right?
Yep.
Packed up her stuff. She said, give me my money. I'm leaving. There was a moment where I almost started crying because she dug her old purse out from under the bureau. She digs it out like she'd been hiding where she came from. She walks out. Edward realizes that she did not take the money. And he does what a lot of good guys do, which is what?
He came after the girl.
Woo! We love it when that happens.
Yes! Yeah. It was so funny because I was watching it with my oldest son, and he's like, oh, she's going to come back. I'm like, no. Like, that's not how that goes. Like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like, the man is going to go after her if he wants her. You know what I mean? But in society, it is the opposite way. But okay.
You know what is so funny is that even though I've seen this movie so many times, I saw that part and I was like, now how does she end up going back inside? Because I know she goes back.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to play the little sound clip. Here we go.
I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to answer questions about us. It was stupid and cruel. I didn't mean it. I don't want you to go. You stay the week.
Why?
I saw you talking to David Morris. I didn't like it.
We were just talking.
Oh, the truth comes out.
I know. That's the first time that he, I think, realized that he liked her more than what he had intended. He felt that jealousy. I was like, oh, wow.
Uh-huh. So, ladies, what does that tell us? You know, we're not here to play a game with the guy. You're not here to, you know, like I said, don't use this for evil. But but you know, talk to other men. Talk to other men. Say hello, say hi. If the guy gets jealous that you're doing that, you're just talking, you know, you're just checking out his horse. And there's nothing at all wrong with that, but it really does fuel that masculine energy to claim you like nothing else. It really does. Rogue, do you have any examples about that? You've been married a really long time, by the way. How long have you been married?
It was 17 years in May.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Guys, I don't know, like right off the top of my head as examples of that.
Would you ever talk to other guys like right in front of your husband? Do you
my gosh, 100%. Yeah. So in the past, I think a detriment to myself was the fact that I didn't really put myself out there enough to even really like be confident enough to mingle with people. He's very outgoing, but I was not. But I think that was very like, that made him feel very secure about himself because he knew that I was very, very much like an introvert and shy and that kind of thing. But the more I have learned to be more in my feminine energy, I realize that that's not being passive. That's not being super shy and an introvert like that. Like I need to be more, flourish more in that feminine energy and put myself out there. So I feel better being more confident to talk to other men and accept that masculine energy from other men for sure. Even as a married woman, I do that.
Yeah. And do you notice when you do, like, even if your husband like isn't around, you come home, let's say, and he can always sense it that you've like been talking to other guys. I don't know how they do that. Does that happen to you too?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think there's something about the energy that changes in us when we've received masculine energies somewhere else. Or something, because like it's almost like they like pick up on it or something. Yeah.
You know, one of my most popular blogs, I talk about how I ran into this guy that I dated a few times. I ran into him at Starbucks and he wanted to talk to me. He was back in town. He was finding a place to live. And I immediately went into boy mode and was like, oh, have you tried looking here? And then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I knew to lean back. I leaned back with him. And then my phone starts buzzing and it's my husband just going, hey baby, just checking in, wanted to say I love you. And just, it's like they can feel it. It's like he knew I was sitting and having coffee with another man. He knew it. It's like they can feel it. It's very powerful.
Yep, for sure.
Very powerful. So yeah, he runs after her to the elevator, apologizes, says I was stupid. I said bad things here. And she says a very important thing. She says, you hurt me and don't do it again. Now, a lot of times the man comes to us, he apologizes, and we're still mad at him. We're still mad at him. And so ladies, listen up. When a guy comes to you and he apologizes, I want you to just take a couple of breaths, let all those chemicals in your body, give him a little while to calm down, and let his apology work. Let it work, because he will get conditioned that if he apologizes to you, you're still mad at him. Mm-hmm. So he'll stop even trying to apologize to you.
Yes, definitely. A man has to feel like he can win with you. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Oh, that's such an important thing. He has to feel like he can win. Yes. So important. Now the movie progresses and we have Vivian opening up more. She says, I love this. She says how her mom called her a bum magnet. Like all she did was attract bums. And she goes, well, here I am with you. So it must still be working. Right. More of that playfulness. Yeah. Yes. Just playful and light. But she opens up about how, she couldn't make her rent. And then she met her friend Kit. She didn't want to go back home to her parents. So Kit, essentially turned her out, turned her on to prostitution. And she opens up to him and says, you know, I was crying the whole time. The first time I did it, I was crying.
Yeah.
And he's just really being supportive and being so loving to her during this whole time. And she says a couple of quotes that just so touched me. She said, people put you down enough, you start to believe it. And bad stuff is easier to believe.
Yes, those are two things that really stuck out for me as well.
What do you feel like that's like for women just in this world where we have been born into a masculine energy world? Your children's children may not be born into a masculine energy world. It may be a feminine energy world, those next generations down. I don't know how many, but I know that we're part of that change. Women like me and you.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, any woman we talk to, because we're teaching you that feminine energy doesn't mean you're powerless and that you're a victim. But I have to say, there's more here when a woman just finds it so plausible and we just believe when we hear the negative things. What do you think makes us different in that regard?
Like, what do you mean exactly?
Well, it just seems like women, we can really, you know, if someone says you're ugly, you're not pretty, no one's going to want to marry you. Someone once told me my fingers were so fat, even if I did get married, a wedding ring wouldn't fit on them. And I actually have the longest, skinniest fingers. So it's clearly it was someone saying that to me, trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
So, but it stuck with me for the longest time. And so what do you think makes us different that way than men? That these ugly words just stick to us so much easier?
I mean, I don't know if it's just because we're so much more like soft-hearted. You know, we haven't, I think men have the capability of kind of shutting some of that stuff out. Because I know for sure my husband's like that. I'm like, why do you let that bother you? Like, who cares what somebody says or whatever? But I think we just have that very soft, caring part about us that it can be a detriment to us for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I love about just really getting activated in my feminine energy, understanding my masculine versus my feminine, is that I used to be so tough on the outside, just so tough. And if someone said something to me, I would act like it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And then later that night, I would just collapse into a pool of tears. Now, if someone says something ugly like that to me, here come the tears right now.
Yeah.
I don't mess around. I don't put up this tough masculine energy act. I really show what I'm really feeling. Because it hurts. These words hurt. Again, when you're a goddess on a pedestal and you can get your energy elevated, soon, you know, eventually you acquire this ability to not let things impact you as much. I've just noticed that personally. What about you, Rogue?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I definitely don't let things bother me like I used to. But when something really does get to me or hurt my feelings, I definitely don't hide it. I don't put up that tough outer wall like I used to. It actually surprises me sometimes how much I can tap into that, and not even just in my relationship. Something happened with my sister recently, and I immediately texted and just said, you know, if I'm honest, like that really hurts, or that really hurt me. And I'm like, in the past, I would have never said that. You know what I mean? I just would have held that in and like just probably been pissed off, you know, on the inside. But now I get that stuff out as soon as it happens, because it just helps me to address things as they happen, not to let things build up and have that resentment towards people. And you know what I mean? It just hurts myself.
Oh, I love that so much. I love it because awakening your feminine energy, it's a lot about the man. This is true, but it's everything from your career, you know, a change in your career, doing that thing you've been called to do, to friendships, family, everyone. So that's beautiful. I love that. So next scene, we have Vivian showing up in this beautiful red dress. She is just absolutely stunning. I didn't know redheads could wear a red dress, but she looks amazing in it. And Edward says, hey, something's missing. And he shows her this jewelry box. He opens it up, and it's heart jewelry. He says it's a $250,000 necklace, and he wants her to wear this beautiful heart jewelry he's gotten on loan for a very special occasion. I loved that this man was giving her heart jewelry. I think this is just what men believe our inner girl wants. I happen to love heart jewelry, but it has something to do with my name, and I just sort of connected myself to heart jewelry. But it's just such a feminine thing. And this is, ladies, this is what men really believe the world we're in. We're in this world of butterflies and heart jewelry and little stars and glitter. I mean, what do you think, Rogue?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, I think men are completely attracted to that softer, feminine side of us on the outside too. Like when we are wearing something that's more feminine. My husband will say this. He said it numerous times, but like on Easter, for instance, you'll see a lot of women wearing dresses on that day. And he made the comment, even just this past Easter, when we were going out to dinner or something, he saw a lot of women. And he's like, the world would be a completely different place, he said, if women would dress like that more often.
Oh, that's
and I
so
was like,
sweet.
what the heck? But I was like, I think he's referring to is just that women are always, we've got the pants on, the masculine energy. And I think that the dress just represents that feminine side of ourselves.
Yeah, that very vulnerable. Now, I live in dresses and skirts. I do own pants and jeans and skirts, but just somehow, I was a dress girl. I don't know. Really?
Oh yeah, all the time.
One of the first things I get my clients to do, I do like a little makeover on them. I get them to go buy a flowery dress. I'm like, just please go get a flowery dress and wear it out and just see how you feel, just see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good exercise. So Edward is surprising Vivian with a limo ride to a private jet that's waiting for both of them. How exciting, huh? And he's flying her off to San Francisco to see the opera La Traviata, which is, beautiful love story. And I love the scene of her at the opera house because, again, the vulnerability is just coming at you all over the place. Anything from the little broken glasses. She's trying to look through the glasses. And she goes, oh, they're broken. And she goes, oh, look, there's a band. There's a band playing, here, down in the orchestra pit. And she even says to him, oh, the seats are so high. Why do you get seats that are so high if you don't like heights, I mean, was she just melting in vulnerability at this point?
Definitely. Yeah, she definitely was.
And it's like her vulnerability is really just, here's what I'm feeling in every moment. Here's what I'm feeling. And it's nothing really negative. It's just positive, and it's from her heart, and it's authentic. She's not putting on any sort of act. She's just being who she is. And she is not afraid to show that she doesn't understand how to do this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed just from the beginning that I love about her character in this movie is that she's always got this carefree, just kind of vulnerableness about her. And that's what he is so drawn to. Without even saying a word, he can feel that energy from her in her facial expressions. And I think it's just coming out of her. Like I said, without even saying a word, you see in that scene, especially when he's looking at her face, as she's watching the show, the opera.
Oh, yes. And she's got tears in her eyes. She's just melting. And sure enough, he's falling in love with her. He's seeing that vulnerability. And he offers her his hanky, and they get up. They're going to exit the, where their seats are. And someone calls to Julia. An elderly woman calls to her, and I'm going to play a little sound clip from that.
Did you enjoy the opera, dear? Oh, it was so good. I almost peed my pants.
She said she liked it better than Pirates of Penzance.
Oh.
So she says to the woman, I liked it so much I almost peed my pants. And the woman is like, what? And he's like, oh, she likes it more than the Pirates of Penzance. So again, just I'm so open. I'm so vulnerable. I have a client of mine. She has IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And one of her biggest fears was she was going away with this guy for the weekend for the very first time, and they were going to have to share a bathroom. And she said, he's going to know. He's going to know. I get up and go to the bathroom 5-6 times. He's going to know. It's going to make noise. All these embarrassing things. And we've all had that moment where, gosh, what do I do in that moment? How can I just embrace this? But here's the thing. We all have to do it. We all have these things about us. Whether you've drank too much at a party and you're feeling sick, or you've got a tummy ache, or you're catching the flu. My first husband, I'll never forget, it was really our first weekend away from each other, away together. And we both got this terrible stomach virus. And we spent this beautiful hotel, the whole time in this hotel, just puking our brains out the whole time. But what can I say? We fell in love.
Oh my gosh.
Fell in love. And so here she is. She's saying, I almost peed my pants. And just like with my client, I got my client to tell him, I'm feeling so embarrassed. My tummy has this problem and I'm so shy about it. I'm feeling so shy about it. And the guy was so understanding, and he just opened up to that. I mean, have you found that with your clients or even your own husband when you open up about something?
Oh yeah, definitely. They want to see those parts of ourselves that we think need to be hidden, and if it's a man that's supposed to be with you, he's going to be totally fine with some of those things that you think are horrible about yourself that you don't want to share.
Oh, I love that. The very things we want to hide are the reasons they fall in love with us.
Yes.
I love it. So later that night, Vivian and Edward are playing chess. They're having a nice time. She convinces him to take the day off tomorrow, and he does. They go and have a hot dog. They have a little picnic in the park. They're reading Shakespeare. They even are at a diner. It looks like they're having great conversation just at some cheap little diner. So she's letting him know, I don't have to always have an expensive date.
Yeah.
We can go have a hot dog. We can go have something nice, because a lot of men that in the beginning, they come on very strong. They're taking you to the best restaurants, buying you the best wine, everything. And then they start to tap the brakes. And recently, even a client of mine, the guy said, well, would you mind paying half of the check? Yeah. And so it's just important to let a guy know, all of this feels wonderful, but, I enjoy going to the park too. I enjoy just picking up a bottle of wine at the grocery store. Do you encounter that with your clients as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm like, guys probably, like you said, they come on very strong in the beginning, like best foot forward, let me wine and dine her. But then there's a point where it's like, really they do it to themselves, but it's like, okay, now I have to try to keep this up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I can keep this up, And so asking a woman to do that, I guess in my opinion, if he's asking her out, I think that would turn a woman off to ask her to pay for half. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I always get my clients to just say, it doesn't feel sexy paying half. I don't feel sexy paying half. But also let the man know, we can do other things for a date.
Yeah.
I really don't, this is what a guy has to do in the beginning. He really has to show you that I can invest my paycheck in you. I can invest in you time. I can invest in you money. And it's really what he has to do to claim you. Because otherwise, a few weeks into it, a few months into it, it becomes a test. And then your quality, you're like, well, I can pick up the check this time, and I can have dinner this time. Now, then later that night, after the wonderful day at the park, they're in bed and Edward is asleep. And Vivian goes over to him and she kisses him on the lips. And in that moment that she kisses him, what happens, Rogue?
Well, he opens his eyes and then kisses her back, because then he realizes, I actually thought that was great because she's the one that set the boundary. And he didn't try to push her to break that boundary, or he might, he tested it, a time or two to see if she would cave. But it was really when she was ready to let that happen, that it happened. Yes.
She was open, ready to go to that next place. Now, this next scene, very pivotal moment in Vivian and Edward's relationship. I'm going to play the sound bite for that.
My business is almost over, so I'll be going back to New York. I'd really like to see you again.
You would?
Yes. Yes, I would. I've arranged for you to have an apartment, have a car, have a wide variety of stores guaranteed to suck up to you anytime you want to go shopping. Everything's done.
What else? You can leave some money by the bed when you pass through town?
Vivian, it really wouldn't be like that.
How would it be?
Well, for one thing, it would get you off the streets.
That's just geography.
Oh, such an intense moment. That's just geography. You're just getting me off the streets. I was really shocked when I first saw this movie and she was turning him down.
For sure, because I would say most women would not turn that down. But then obviously she's been in maybe not this exact type of situation, but like what she wants is more from him. And she feels, I can already tell that she knew she was going to end up being trapped, because what she really wants from him is that commitment. And he was going to start treating her just like he obviously had treated the other women that he had dated, which is why they never worked out.
Yeah, and she is, boldly walking away. She's boldly walking away. So I'm going to just move on to the next clip here.
Look, you made me a really nice offer. And a few months ago, no problem, but now everything is different and you changed that and you can't change back. I want more.
I know about wanting more. I invented the concept. The question is how much more?
I want the fairy tale.
Impossible relationships.
So he was just saying, I am impossible at relationships because, as you said, Rogue, I want more. I want more. And she says, I want the fairy tale. She has this great exchange with him where she tells him about how her mom used to kind of lock her up in the attic when she was bad, and she would dream that, this prince would come and rescue her, not offer her a condo, and she really wants that fairy tale. And it's just takes so much strength to do that as a woman. That's one moment in my life I'll certainly never forget. Is I had been dating the man who became my husband. We had been on again, off again for about 4 years. And I had let him know that I did not want to be a girlfriend. I wanted to be a wife. And he laughed at me. He laughed at me and said, well, I'm never going to get married. And I'll never forget, getting in my car, driving away from him, and definitely crying and shaking. But the further I drove away, the stronger I felt that I knew I couldn't keep being a girlfriend. I was going to miss him. It was going to feel horrible. I was aware of that, but I knew more that I wanted to be a wife. Now, did you ever have anything like that in your evolution? You got married kind of young, so.
Yeah, my situation was definitely a lot different because I got married so young. We had a moment where we split up, me and my husband. And I was seeing somebody, and I had a moment like that with that person where I said, I want all of you, not just part of you. And so I had to put that boundary up as well. And obviously that situation didn't work out. Me and my husband are back together. But yeah, that situation for me was very hard as well, but I wasn't going to let that game that was being played. I wanted more and I deserved more, and I knew that. So,
well, I'm glad that more was your husband, you and your husband coming back together.
Exactly. Right.
I'm glad that worked out that way. So we'll fast forward a little bit. They say goodbye to each other and they part ways. There's some scenes in here we miss where Stuckey attacks Vivian. Just some really bad stuff happens. And Edward had rescued her from him. But I think more of that was just, again, compounding that he was feeling great attachment for her, great love for her. He's rescued her from a couple of situations here. And he's aware that she can be on her own. She can survive. She was clearly surviving before him. But it's definitely haunting him that he could give her more. But she wants it all. She wants the fairy tale. So there's a great scene where it just shows Edward going for a walk in a park. And then they kind of cut to Vivian moving out. And I love that scene where they cut to Edward walking in the park, because this, again, is what men do. This is like when Edward went downstairs and he was playing the piano until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They go to the cave. They have to have that time away to process.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, definitely. They don't just, and that's the part that drives us women crazy, though, because we're just like, just tell us something, anything. But they turn and walk away. They shut down, and we're wondering what's going on in their head. And I think a lot of women, that's when they actually, the man is leaning back and it pulls the woman forward, and she's wanting to like fix things or apologize or pry for information. And I think that's a really good example of how he just, like you said, was processing that and went straight to the scene where I think he felt very connected to her.
Oh, I love that, because our boy energy gets activated and we're like, well, hurry up. Well, if you love me, don't you see how great we are together?
Yeah. Trying to convince them that they want this.
Yeah, your inner boy just comes right out and says, I'm here to save the day. And then the guy's like, ooh, I don't compete with another guy, even if that guy is you, right?
Yes.
So this scene is so sweet. Vivian is packing up to leave. She's decided to leave California. She's going to go back home, maybe go to community college. And she starts to hear some very familiar music. It's the same music that she was hearing that night that Edward took her to the opera.
Yeah.
And very beautiful moment.
So what happened after he climbed up the tower and rescued her?
She rescues him right back.
Anything stand out for you in that whole scene?
Well, I mean, the fact that he got a white limo and she had mentioned a white horse.
Ooh,
so
he
paid attention to detail on that, which I feel like a man that truly loves a woman, that's what he'll do. He'll listen to details about her. And then the fact that he, as much as he was afraid of heights, he still, like, she was worth it for him to make that climb to get to her.
That's right, ladies. Men will move mountains to claim you.
And do things that are very uncomfortable for them. That was a very uncomfortable thing for him, but she was worth it. So that's why he overcame that fear. Like, he just went right through the fear to get to what he wanted.
I love it. So what did this movie show us? Well, it definitely showed that duality of masculine, feminine energy, men and women. You know, many scenes in here, Richard Gere is in his feminine energy. You know, there's a scene where he comes to her and he says, where do you see us going? You know, where do you see us going? What do you see happening for us here? And Julia Roberts says, I don't know. And I didn't play us that sound clip, but this is just such a good example of, this is a man in his feminine energy, but he has to figure it out. She had to walk away and he had to go wander around in the park and figure it out, whatever he had to do. But she said, I'm going this way. I'm going in the direction of my dreams. I'm going to keep my life rich, full, and juicy. I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to keep my eyes. Again, she made that bold statement, that bold declaration. I want the whole package. I want everything. So I think there's just so many things women can learn from this movie. Don't you, Rogue?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. And when you just mentioned about, she didn't try to figure things out. She left it up to him to figure it out. I think a lot of women try to figure things out. They try to figure a man out. But if you start the relationship out figuring things out, you're going to be figuring things out for the rest of the relationship. I mean, if you don't let a man take that role, then you'll always be the one in charge in that masculine energy and in all areas of your life, trying to figure things out. And most women, it's not a very good spot where you're feeling very good about yourself. It just creates a lot of unhappiness in the relationship.
It used to give me so much anxiety when I had that role in the relationship.
Yes.
I had so much stress, so much anxiety because I'm wearing two different hats. I'm wearing the girl hat, the boy hat, the girl. And I'm just like, no, you've got to do this part. And at first it was really difficult to lean back and let the guy do that.
Yes.
But now it's like, well, now it's the new normal.
It's like second nature. Yeah. And I still have times where, I think I revert back for a second. It doesn't last very long, but I'll kind of jump back into that old routine. And I start feeling just very heavy and icky. And just if I start feeling myself getting frustrated or stressed, I'm like, okay, what am I doing that I'm over functioning or I'm doing too much somewhere in this relationship? And
I love that. So you have you have an alarm that goes off. That's awesome. That's awesome. So is there anything else? Did we cover it all in this movie, Pretty Woman? Julia Roberts, Richard Gere, 1990. Feminine energy, masculine energy. It is never going to go out of style. This podcast, I believe, even 50 years from now, it will still have relevance. What do you think? Anything else we need to cover?
No, I think we covered it all. I think it was great. I love doing this. So I'm excited to keep going forward with more movies, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we hope to bring you more. If you like this episode, feel free to, leave comments on our website or our blogs, our Facebook pages or Instagram, and just let us know what you think. Or if you have a particular show or series that you like, just tell us. Maybe it's something we'll cover in a future podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining myself, Adrienne Everheart, and Rogue Pence on The Highly Desirable Woman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
What do you see happening between us?
I don't know.